Hello, my name is Reggie. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about John Green's books and ranking them from least favorite to most favorite, and it's just going to be a great time. So this is my first video in my least to most favorite slash author spotlight videos. I don't know what I'm calling them yet, but essentially this is me talking a little bit about John Green's books, why I've read them all, why I like them all, if he has an upcoming book, which he does, why I'm excited about that new book. Before we get into this video though, you should definitely subscribe to my channel. I post videos every Tuesday. You should also hit the bell dude because that tells you when I post new videos. You know the drill. So I'm a huge fan of contemporaries, realistic fiction, and contemporaries that kind of have a message or a hard-hitting story. And John Green is definitely one of the authors that really got me into that kind of storytelling narrative. He is a huge influence on the kind of books I like, and I really like what his books have done for me personally and for YA and contemporary as genres. The first book he published was Looking for Alaska. This came out in 2005. This follows a boy who is off at boarding school, his life with his friends, and a girl he likes. A huge theme amongst all of John Green's books is kind of living the human experience. His books really deal less with a plot and a lot more with character development and their understanding of who they are as people. I am a person who hugely loves stories that rely on character development, character exploration, character arc. And it's quite a bam splashing debut, I'd say. This portion of the video is me just kind of going through the book and not quite me ranking them yet. Next up, he published An Abundance of Katherines. This came out in 2006. This is the only John Green book I do not own. This follows a boy who's really into numbers and math. All of his previous girlfriends have been named Catherine. This book kind of just tackles coming of age story, finding yourself story. Next up, in 2008, John Green published Paper Towns. This is a book about a kid who lives in Orlando, has a big crush on his neighbor named Margot, and Margot goes missing, and he tries to figure out what happened to Margot through the course of this book. What this book deals with specifically is taking the trope of the manic pixie dream girl and flipping it on its head. Like, a lot of people's big complaint about this book is that it does deal so heavily with the manic pixie dream girl, that idealized girl that is just used to further the plot and the main character's ends. While Margot does influence the plot and does lead to the ends for our main character, Quentin, she is not a manic pixie dream girl, because we find out she's not everything Quentin built her up to be, and she is more complex than he imagined her to be, and she has so many more elements that he didn't know about or bother to get to know. So I do believe this is a book that takes that trope and flips it on its head. It deals a lot with wanderlust, traveling, getting out of town or high school or an experience. It deals a lot with growing and changing and idealizing a person and why you shouldn't necessarily do that. Next, we have a collection of short stories by 3 YA authors, one of which is John Green. This collection is called Let It Snow. 3 different story plots following 3 different characters, and these 3 different character story plots do intermingle throughout the course of this compilation. They're cute YA romances. Next up, we have a book that was written in 2010. This was co-authored with the author David Levithan, and this is called Will Grayson, Will Grayson. This follows a boy who is living in Chicago, I believe. He's friends with a guy who is very openly out. He comes across another boy named Will Grayson who has a whole host of different world experiences, and their stories intermingle. It's really a great story about acceptance, opening up, changing. It's a good story of friendship and what is important in a friendship. It's really well done, has decent representation. Then, in 2012, John Green released his Magnus opus, The Fault in Our Stars. I have no problem saying this is his Magnus opus because I think we all know this is going to be his Magnus opus. And I think he knows this is his Magnus opus. This is a story of our main character, Hazel, who is a girl who has cancer. She is on an experimental drug that is keeping her alive. For now, it's not going away, and it's not going to go away. And she's dealing with impending death and what it means to be a teenager when you know your life's going to end and how that's going to affect other people. During the course of the story, she meets another character at a cancer support group. He is in remission, and they quickly and beautifully fall in love. And this is their story, and it is masterfully executed. Tragically heartbreaking. Wonderfully told. It does everything John Green does really well and talks about death and life and grief and acceptance, and it's gonna be a classic, guys. John Green recently also announced that on October 10th he is releasing his next book, Turtles All the Way Down. We don't know much about this book, but we do know it deals with a girl. She has what John Green refers to as thought spirals. Basically, she is diagnosed with OCD, which is obsessional compulsive disorder. OCD comes in various forms. Her OCD is the same OCD John Green suffers from, and it is the obsessive thought. So this is an Own Voices John Green novel. I'm really excited to kind of see what he has to say about OCD. So now that we've kind of run through all of John Green's books, when they came out, the order they were published in, and kind of a little snippet about all of them, let's rank them. So if you couldn't tell by the fact that I don't own it, my least favorite book by John Green is An Abundance of Katherines. I don't really like this book. I found it very boring. I mean, I enjoyed my time reading it, but it wasn't all that great. Next up on this list, we have Let Us Know. As a book and a compilation, I absolutely love this. John Green's story within this is not my favorite of his, though. It's not my favorite work of his. It's not my favorite work in this book. Next up, we have Will Grayson, Will Grayson. While this is so good and so interesting and so funny, it just didn't impact me as much as John Green's other books. Next up on this list, we have what is a lot of people's favorite John Green book, and that is Looking for Alaska. I really enjoyed this. I think this is one of his best books. I think this is one of the best debuts. Next one may come at a surprise, that is The Fault in Our Stars. So for me, The Fault in Our Stars is John Green's best book. It's the best well received for a reason. It's so well written. He has the best writing he's ever had, the best lines he's ever written. It's so impactful and devastating and beautiful, and I can't gush about this enough. It is undoubtedly his best work in my opinion, his Magnus Opus. So Process of Elimination will tell you that my favorite John Green book is Paper Towns. I really love how the manic pixie dream girl trope is flipped on its head. I really liked the exploration of not feeling like you wanted to be where you were, even if things were great. I really liked the exploration of kind of not idealizing someone or holding them up to a standard they don't kind of necessarily deserve to be held up to. I really like so much of this book. This book is not sad. Looking for Alaska is sad. I cried in that. Tiffyos is super sad. Cried in that. This book, not really sad. And I cried in it at multiple points because it just touched me in a very specific place, and I really, really loved all that it did and all that it talked about, and its exploration of like kind of wanting to get away, breaking out of your shell and moving on from like what you know and what you expect. And I just really, really love this work. So it is my personal favorite because it touched me in a very different way. It's just very special to me. So in just a few short weeks, John Green will be releasing Turtles All the Way Down, and I'm so excited for it. Not just because I love John Green and this is his newest work, but also because this is the first ever Own Voices John Green book. John Green has been suffering with OCD and mental illness, which he's talked about on his YouTube channel Vlogbrothers before. I think it's very important that he talks about this in a book. This is one of the places he shines, his books. And that's one of the places he has a huge impact, is books. And a place he'll have a very lasting impact. And like I said, I'm just really excited to see the representation of a mental illness in one of John Green's books and mental illness that John Green suffers from. So this is an Own Voices book, and I think that's just gonna really push it up and beyond for me. Hoping it's so great. Let me know what your favorite John Green book is if you like him. If you don't, I'm surprised you made it this far. And you should also comment down below and let me know if you are excited for Turtles All the Way Down. I will see you in my next video. Bye!
Baby, I'll be here.